The 10 most dangerous states in America. Imagine a moment in your life when everything feels open, full of possibility. Maybe you just got a new job. Maybe you're thinking about starting fresh, leaving behind the noise, the traffic, the stress of your current city. You imagine wide open skies, quiet evenings on a porch, maybe a brand new home where you can breathe easier. And then you start thinking, where should I go? Where in America can I build the kind of life I want? But here's the twist. What if the place you choose, the one you picture as a peaceful new beginning, carries dangers you never imagined? What if behind the postcard landscapes, behind the warm smiles and familiar small-town charms, there are stories people don't tell outsiders? Stories about neighborhoods where sirens echo through the night, cities where people double-check their locks before the sun even sets, and entire communities juggling problems deeper than any official report can capture. Today, we are stepping into those stories. This isn't a list meant to scare you for clicks. It's a journey, a narrative through places where life is complicated, where beauty and danger live side by side, and where understanding the truth could change everything about where you choose to live. So buckle in. Some of these states may surprise you, some might shock you, and some might make you rethink everything you thought you knew about safety in America. Let's begin, starting from the 10th and climbing all the way to the state with the most severe challenges of all. #10 Nevada, where glitter hides shadows. Close your eyes and picture Nevada. Most people see bright lights, busy streets, endless nightlife, a place that never sleeps. But that image, those bright colors, hides something darker. Nevada is a state of extremes. Tourists flock in by the millions, filling casinos, hotels, restaurants, and bars. The energy is electric. But outside the glamour zones, life feels very different. In the shadows of all that noise, there are neighborhoods where families hear violent disturbances far more often than they should. There are blocks where people learn quickly not to walk alone at night. And in the outskirts, more rural towns deal with their own struggles. Fewer jobs, fewer services, and a constant fight against problems that don't fit neatly into any statistic. What makes Nevada dangerous isn't just crime. It has the instability that comes with a state built on constant movement. People arriving, people leaving, endless transient crowds. With movement comes opportunity, but also chaos. It creates pockets where people fall through the cracks, where strangers drift in and out, where community ties aren't always strong enough to hold everything together. Even longtime residents admit that Nevada can feel like two different worlds, one vibrant and glowing, the other unpredictable and sharp-edged. And if you make Nevada your home, you have to learn how to navigate both. Number Y, Missouri, a state of contrasts and collisions. When you think of Missouri, maybe you picture the gentle roll of the Midwest, barbecue smoke drifting over backyards, or a sense of friendly calm. But inside its largest cities, a different story unfolds, one filled with tension, uncertainty, and a pace of life that demands awareness. There are neighborhoods where families don't sit on the front porch after dark, streets where people walk fast, eyes sharp, shoulders slightly raised, areas where young people grow up learning survival instincts before they learn algebra. The danger isn't everywhere, far from it, but where it exists, it's heavy, concentrated, and life-changing. Missouri is a collision point of histories, old industrial roots, economic shifts, urban challenges, and communities divided by decades of inequality. When those forces meet, the result can be explosive. People who live there will tell you the same thing. You have to know the area, you have to know your neighbors, and you have to be aware of your surroundings. And yet, there's beauty in Missouri too, riversides, music, culture, strength. But those good things don't erase the reality that some parts of this state demand a higher level of caution than most newcomers expect. #8 South Carolina. Beauty on the surface, struggle underneath. South Carolina feels like a dream at first glance. Warm beaches, old streets full of history, and people who greet you like an old friend. It's a place where the past feels alive, where charm hangs in the air like humidity in the summer. But beneath that charm is a different reality. In certain cities and towns, you will hear stories whispered between neighbors, stories of violence breaking out in places you wouldn't expect, of arguments turning into emergencies, of entire communities grappling with problems that linger for years. People who grew up there often have a stronger sense of caution than outsiders. They know which areas to avoid, which hours to stay home, and how quickly a peaceful evening can turn complicated. South Carolina's danger is scattered, not always obvious, not always concentrated in big cities. Sometimes it hides in small town corners, where resources are limited and help arrives too slowly. Sometimes it lives in long-standing family disputes. Other times it's tied to struggles with drugs or cycles of instability. It is a place where you have to look beneath the surface, because beauty can conceal the kind of danger that doesn't make the news. #7 Alaska. Isolation with a darker side. Alaska is breathtaking. Mountains like ancient guardians, forests stretching into infinity, skies that feel bigger than anything you've ever seen. But behind the scenery is reality most outsiders never hear about. This is a state where isolation is not a poetic idea, it's a daily lifestyle. There are towns where the nearest police officer is hours away. Communities cut off by snow for months at a time. People living in conditions that combine loneliness, darkness, and the emotional weight that comes with being far from help. When trouble breaks out, whether it's violence, conflict, or crisis, response time can be painfully slow. That creates a kind of danger unique to Alaska. Not loud danger, not chaotic danger, but silent, suffocating danger. The kind that grows behind closed doors in households dealing with pressures most Americans never face. Residents talk openly about the challenges: long nights that wear on your mind, substance abuse in certain areas, and the feeling of being trapped inside a small space for far too long during the harshest winter months. Alaska is beautiful, but beauty doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it distracts you from what's underneath. Number Y, Arkansas. Quiet roads and quieter problems. Arkansas is the kind of place where life looks simple. Long, quiet roads, small towns, friendly greetings at grocery stores. But behind that peaceful image, Arkansas faces deeply rooted struggles. Some communities deal with drug problems that spread like wildfire. Others face economic hardships that chip away at hope day after day. And in many areas, law enforcement is stretched thin, leaving people feeling like they're on their own when things go wrong. Danger in Arkansas isn't always loud. Often it's slow, creeping, familiar. It's disputes that escalate because there's nowhere else to turn. It's neighborhoods where opportunities are scarce and tempers short. It's rural isolation that hides problems until they explode. For newcomers, the transition can be jarring. On the surface, everything looks calm, but after living there a while, you begin to notice a tension humming beneath the daily routine. A sense that some communities are struggling with problems bigger than they can handle alone. Number 5, Tennessee. Music magnolias. And a rougher reality, Tennessee is a state full of rhythm. Music in the streets, laughter in the air, and beauty everywhere you look. But for many people living there, life has a rhythm of a different kind. Sirens, disputes, and a level of caution they've learned through experience. Big, growing cities bring excitement, opportunity, and culture. But they also bring pressures, soaring living costs, crowded neighborhoods, and stressed community systems. In Tennessee, in certain areas, those pressures boil over into violence far more often than newcomers expect. There are streets where people keep their heads down, where parents teach their kids how to stay safe before they teach them how to drive. There are communities fighting hard to solve their problems, building programs, supporting each other, pushing for change. But those problems run deep and change is slow. Tennessee is a place of passion, creativity, and soul. But it's also a place where you need awareness, resilience, and a good understanding of which parts offer harmony and which parts hit a darker note. Number 4, New Mexico, desert beauty and urban struggle. New Mexico is one of the most visually stunning states in America. Desert landscapes, red mountains, ancient history, and skies so vibrant you'll never forget them. But like many beautiful places, it hides an ongoing struggle that affects day-to-day safety. Certain cities face challenges that have grown over the years: tense neighborhoods, disputes turning violent too quickly, and cycles of poverty that trap families in stressful conditions. There are communities where people know which blocks to avoid, which corners are unpredictable, and which times of day feel safest. Drugs and economic instability add to the problem. Some people feel stuck between wanting to stay in the place they love and wanting to escape the dangers around them. Others describe New Mexico as a state with two faces, one spiritual and serene, the other worn down by pressures that never seem to ease. New Mexico is unforgettable, but not only for its scenery. Its challenges run deep, and anyone thinking of moving there must understand both sides of that picture. Number 3, Louisiana. Beautiful culture, hard realities. Louisiana is electric. It's full of music, flavor, celebration, and culture found nowhere else in America. But it's also a state carrying heavy weight, a mix of old wounds, economic hardship, and community struggles that don't disappear overnight. Some cities face violence that rises and falls like tides, unpredictable yet persistent. Neighborhoods that once flourished now struggle with broken infrastructure and limited resources. Families do their best to create stability, but many feel the constant pressure of their environment pressing in around them. People who've lived in Louisiana for generations understand the rhythm. They love their state fiercely, but they also know which areas are dangerous, which streets to avoid, and how fast a normal day can turn into something frightening. Louisiana's beauty is undeniable, but so is the danger found in certain areas where frustration, instability, and conflict collide. Anyone considering a move should take time to truly learn the landscape, not the tourist map, but the real one locals know by heart. Number 2, Mississippi, a state of warm hearts and tough realities. Mississippi is complex. It's full of tradition, history, and some of the most welcoming people you'll ever meet. Walk into the right small town, and you'll be treated like family before you've even set your bags down. But beneath that warmth is a struggle many outsiders underestimate. Mississippi faces challenges rooted in decades of hardship. In some communities, opportunities are few, schools are under strain, and resources stretched thin. In others, violence has become an unwanted part of normal life, affecting families generation after generation. What makes Mississippi truly dangerous isn't only crime. It has the combination of economic pressure, limited support systems, and neighborhoods caught in cycles that are hard to break. Problems pile on top of problems, creating an environment where conflict can spark quickly and escalate dramatically. Mississippi isn't a state of hopelessness, far from it. It's a state of deeply rooted identity and pride. But it is also a place where caution is essential, where awareness is part of everyday life, and where understanding the local landscape is key to staying safe. Number 1, Alabama, danger that cuts deeper than statistics. And now we reach the state that tops this narrative, Alabama. Not because it lacks heart. Alabama is full of heart. Not because it lacks beauty. From rolling hills to warm springs, the state is gorgeous. And not because the people aren't strong. They are some of the strongest, most community-oriented people in the country. But strength doesn't erase struggle. Alabama faces dangers woven into the daily fabric of life in many of its communities. There are cities where violence feels like a stubborn shadow that refuses to disappear. Towns where opportunities are scarce, tension runs high, and small disputes escalate into life-altering events. Rural areas face isolation and limited access to support. Urban neighborhoods fight battles against instability every day. It's the combination, not one single problem, that creates the danger here. Economic hardship, limited resources, long-standing community challenges, and cycles of conflict all blend together into a reality that demands caution from anyone who calls Alabama home. People who've lived there for generations have learned to adapt, to protect themselves, to keep their families safe. But newcomers sometimes underestimate the complexity and the risk. Alabama isn't defined by danger, but danger is undeniably part of its story. The truth behind the list. Now that we've reached the end of the countdown, here's the part most lists never tell you. Danger doesn't define a state. People do. Every state on this list has communities filled with resilience, neighbors who look out for each other, parents fighting for safer schools, activists pushing for change, police officers working tirelessly to protect the people they serve. Every state on this list has safe areas too, beautiful towns, peaceful streets, and tight-knit communities where danger feels far away. And every state on this list has hope, real, powerful hope, because the same things that create risk also create strength, unity, history, identity, and pride. So when you hear most dangerous, don't imagine a wasteland. Imagine complexity. Imagine struggle. Imagine people doing their best in difficult circumstances. If you're thinking of moving to one of these states, this list isn't meant to push you away. It's meant to prepare you, to help you make informed decisions, ask the right questions, and understand that safety varies block by block, not just state by state. A final word, and what to watch next. Thank you for staying until the end of this exploration. If you enjoyed this deep human look at the states facing America's toughest challenges, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video.